the Wayne's World 2 scene, the dude from Married with Children. Let's go to Mr. Scream. He's screaming into the microphone.
Just listen to the roar of this crowd, Marty. Whoa, yeah, all right.
Welcome back to Wasted Wagons, where we talk about all kind of crazy stuff. This is our weekly podcast. We're all back here. We're enjoying some little beverages in the backyard of my house, and we hope that today is going to be just as memorable as last time. Again, we talk about all kind of crazy stuff like movies and music, what's going on in the news right now, sports, anything really we want to talk about. So let's talk about what are we drinking, guys? What are we drinking? You, Pat, what are you doing?
I'm enjoying a lovely peach buffer sour from Agile Brewing out of Baton Rouge.
All right, looks good. Travis?
I'm going with the classic Pabst Blue Ribbon, good old PBR, baby. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin. No, I'm going with the LeGrand Orange from Rally Cap Brewing, also in Baton Rouge.
Sean?
Omaha Dreams, also from Rally Cap. It is a sour ale with apricots, raspberries, plums, and I don't know what else.
Sean likes some plums.
Say Quaaludes?
I like a lot of fruit in my beer.
And I'm drinking the Parish Brewing Extra Sauce. It's a lemonade shandy. I picked it up the other day from Total Wine. It's all right.
Yeah, is it better than Line and Kugel?
Probably not.
Nothing beats a line and cool.
Look, guys, for the
For
record,
what, Mike? What does extra sauce mean?
Extra sauce, it
Is it
means
extra
it's the water.
look, for the
Don't
record,
drink the water.
I know
Brown butter.
we talked a little bit last week about what are our go-to beers. So we talked about go-to beers at a crawfish boil. And I know my go-to beer at a crawfish boil is probably the Gnarly Barley Catahoula Common. But since we're talking about go-to beers, let's say you're on like a 3-day beach trip. What is your go-to beer? That's why I'm drinking PBR. I got a case of PBR, brought it with me over the weekend. I was in Orange Beach. Slammed back most of them, came back with a couple of stragglers, and that's what I'm drinking today.
Nothing wrong with that. Not a little PBR.
I mean, take it from somebody that goes camping quite often. Sometimes
Big
against
camper guy on you?
sometimes against my own will. Most of the time, against my own will. PBR is always a pretty solid choice to take if you're going to be pounding back a lot of beers.
Hey, how's your fence coming?
Fence
how
is
about
coming.
Oh, you got no summer projects, you bum?
Fence is coming good, man. Finished most of it.
Well,
I got
y'all can see, you can see my fence project.
Mike don't
What
even have a
fence?
gate.
You're missing a little bit,
Mike's-
bud.
Mike's got a combination of like 4 different pieces of fencing going on here. I noticed that.
It's all the different neighbors. That's 1, 2, 3. I got 4 neighbors. Just the way the
Yeah, you
the
really
lot
do
is.
have just 4 different friends that I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
You have 2 neighbors.
You got like
in
a
the back
white
of your yard.
fence,
Yeah.
an orange fence,
2 neighbors in the back.
one that
of the
looks like it was
yard.
recently
Oh,
done,
yeah,
one
you
that's
got
gapped.
the vinyl fence over
The
here.
vinyl fence over
But
there.
yeah, no white
call
picket.
this? What do you call this shit? It's like a
I guess
fence
it's
behind
like
a fence.
This is like a lattice type design.
Look, it's got the ivy, almost like Wrigley Field growing
But-
on.
Get that out of here.
Get that shit out of
No,
here.
but
Seriously, what's y'all's go-tos at the beach, man? I didn't finish mine. God damn it, Patrick interrupted me.
Well, you
with
didn't
the
finish
fence
your summer jobs and chores either, did you?
Fence is almost done. It'll be finished probably tomorrow night.
Good.
But if I'm not going with PBR, I'm going with Miller High Life as a cheap, easily drinkable beer. Maybe even Modelo. If I'm laying off the craft beer and going to be drinking some relatively inexpensive cheap beer that's actually good, I'll go with the High Life or PBR or even Modelo or something like that.
Me? I don't know. I drink all kinds of shit when I'm at the beach. I think the last time I was at the beach was actually some Crooked Marker variety pack or some seltzer shit, but whatever does the job. But last night at Cabbage Ball or Softball for the non-New Orleans people, drinking Corona Premier, hit the jackpot,
Little Premi.
looking all over Total Wine for a 12-pack of Corona Premier, and it was all in bottles. And then I go to the cooler, and they had a cold 12-pack of cans. I'm like, hell yeah. Of course, they're still in the slim cans, so everybody with a slim can koozie thinks you're drinking a seltzer, you pussy. You're like, no, it's beer. Go fuck yourself.
Just to be on record, we're not sponsored by Total Wine. They don't give us any money for this. we just finally got one a couple years ago, guys. So it's all new to us. So it's been a shopping place for a lot of us.
Yeah, but it came at a good time, because some of us nerds like Todd and I, we used to really like going to Toys R Us even as adults. Well, now Total Wine is kind of like the Toys R Us for adults.
You just walk down, peruse the aisle. I mean, I love the taste of wine. I'm not one of these guys that's gonna like sniff it and swirl it and spit it out, but and say, "Ooh, that's a nice hint of oak in that one."
Like possibly one of our future guests.
But it's
Absolutely.
I like going in the aisle and just looking at the big prices on the wine and the cool labels, and that's basically how I make my selection.
Definitely a good place to
I'm just going to abstain from the whole talk of that. But carry on.
What the wine notes and the hints of
All of
elderberry and
All of it.
Oh, why?
Palates and-
I could have a whole episode myself on just the snobbery and snootiness of my industry,
Mhm.
but that's for another day.
But do you do that yourself? Do you take a glass of
Oh,
wine?
I'm
and
100% the
sniff it and
jerk
swirl
that
it?
shows up to your bourbon
Swirls
tasting with my fancy Glencairn or my snifter as they call it. And I'm not gonna call you out on like
the
what you
snifter,
drink,
Sniff
but in the
it.
back of my head,
He's
I'm
sniffing
judging
the
you. Yeah,
food.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is a snifter? The curve.
the curved
Yeah,
glass. Yeah,
Sniff it. That
Is it
just sounds
skinny
like
or is it
something
the round one?
it's shaped like a properly
The
formed
wagon shaped. Yeah. Okay.
I did buy a Wines for Dummy book one time. Other than that,
I
I'm
don't
an
want that.
amateur.
I bought that book when I first started working in the industry, so 3 years ago. I still have it. I'll still reference some stuff in it.
They got some good stuff.
There's
in
a
it.
lot to learn, but then you realize some of it's like a lot of it's not bullshit, but like it's a lot easier and simpler than people make it out to be. Like when you go into like the French aisle, the Italian aisle, people are like, oh, I want a Burgundy or a Bordeaux or this or that. And they're like, oh, what is this? What is that? And like, it's just where they make the wine, where it's from. They're like, oh, it's old world wine and new world wine is all like
Yeah.
basic US. And
What I don't miss is I used to use that Vivino wine app, and I'd scan labels
Oh.
and keep them in my
I
database.
had
And-
that app too.
And you'd read the reviews, and people were like, hints of oak on the back of the palate, and pine, and all this was like, it tastes like pine needles. That doesn't sound appealing to me. Like, what the hell are y'all
I mean,
talking
that's
about?
kind of what
Gin.
IPAs taste
It's like gin.
You know?
that's the biggest thing with talking to people. Like, oh well, what? Like they'll ask, like, what is this supposed to taste like? What does it taste like to you? What it tastes like to me might not taste like the same thing to you. What do you taste in it? I can steer you in a direction of what it might have some hints of. Like if I told you some Jack Daniels have a like banana kind of taste to it, you might taste it. You might not. You might taste a lot of it. Who knows?
It tastes like a Scottie Pippen layup followed by a Michael Jordan
You know,
dunk.
you
And an
know,
old pair of gym shorts.
you know what else is like that is
That's sweaty
cigars. Man, they got some aficionados
Uh-huh.
out there that smoke cigars, and they talk about all this crazy shit with cigars, and I'm like, I can't. I mean, I
You're
smoke
a
cigars
cigar
a lot,
guy, right?
and I just cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot pick up some of these flavors and
I
hints
get
of
that
this,
the
and
men's club
it's the same
guys, or
deal.
at school, some of the dads, they got the small, skinny ones, the mediums, the big, giant ones that take like an hour to smoke. They're like, oh, this is the best. Whatever. It's like every single one. It's like tastes like a cigar. I don't know what else to tell you.
Remember Coach Doyle used to chew on them son of bitches during driver's ed?
Yep.
Look at crap.
And I guess like a lot of it, I guess, is like you read some of the tags on some of these wine bottles, and it's like, oh, you have black currant and blackberries and stuff like that, and cardamom
Yeah.
and spice and whatnot, and clove. Well, if you've never tasted that thing, then how would you know that
Right.
what you're drinking
Right.
tastes like?
right.
I'd never really had clove before 3 years ago, and now I had to go taste clove so I could figure out, is this something I taste in a wine? Because either the label said it's supposed to be there, or some person said like, oh, I tasted this and that in it.
Yeah. Well, when the
But also,
the flavors have something in them like oak or something, it's like you don't eat that. How do you know what it tastes like? You think
Right.
it tastes like a smell? Like,
And a lot of it
what are we
like-
talking about?
like baking spices
Yeah.
is like a common thing
Mhm.
for like some bourbons. It's like,
All right,
what the-
so where we're gonna get at here is next episode. We're all gonna drink some wine, and we're gonna try to taste the wine. We're gonna have a little tasting, and we're gonna find out
Yeah, I'll just
what it tastes like.
I'll
What
just-
does this wine taste like?
I'll bring a bottle and I'll write on the card the description from the bottle or from a site about what it's supposed to taste like, and we'll see what we can get out of
and
it.
we could go a step further and guess what kind of wine it is.
Okay.
Honestly,
tell you right now, it's going to be a red.
I can't taste the difference between the reds, though. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, I like them all, but
As much as my parents drink wine, every time we go to a restaurant, they pour the first
Give me a good
sip
lipper.
for my dad. And how is it? And his go-to line every time. It tastes like wine. And the waiter looks at him like, you asshole.
But anyway, the my favorite beach beer. Going back to that.
Yeah, we got off topic there, big time.
Yeah, we got big time off subject.
The beach.
But that's okay. That's what this is all about. I like Coronas, man. With the Coronas with a little lime in it. I like. I used to like the Budweiser lime.
Nothing to laugh at that. I mean,
No,
I think-
I kind of grew
No.
from that though.
I think the idea behind the whole question in general was that I think when you go to the beach, it's not as much as we talk about drinking craft beer, and we're going to continue talking about drinking craft beer on this show. When you go buy a case of beer for a beach trip, it's something that you want to be kind of light but still have a good bit of taste
Absolutely.
to it. Something that you can just have a lot of. And
When you're sweating your balls off, you don't want a friggin' Giacomo IPA that just
Oh,
like
no,
clogs your arteries.
definitely not.
I do
So-
enjoy those, especially on tap. They're very
yeah,
refreshing.
definitely Corona, Dos Equis, shoot, even Bud Light Lime, that kind of stuff, something light. But yeah, that's what I like. Patrick?
My beach beer is pretty much the same beer I drink primarily during the day, week, or whatever. Modelo. The Modelo Oro is pretty good. I just started drinking those a few weeks ago. Pretty solid. I can still do Ultra. I'm not a seltzer guy at the beach really, but if I'm packing a lipper, then it's definitely got to be a Ultra.
Seltzers do the trick. Keep you not too dehydrated, and they
Work.
refreshing.
They're lighter. They definitely have a place, and people are like, oh, you drink seltzers. Hey man, they're fine.
Look,
Hey, speaking of,
we
we
tore
have some
apart that
Topo
frickin'
Chico
marker.
here.
And look, that's
Yeah,
what I was
prickly
going to say
pear.
next. Like, I'm normally not a seltzer drinker, but the Topo Chico pineapple was one that really resonated with me when I tried.
Mine's prickly pear. And actually, what brought me into Total Wine yesterday, I was going for that Shiner prickly pear again, which they said was seasonal, and they're not getting any more. But I still ended up spending $88 on the place.
That's
So,
how they get
And
you.
like, that was going to be my next question, based upon that. Like, how many times have we walked into Total Wine and said, "Oh, I'm going to go get one thing," and then you walk out
no,
spending over
you don't
$100
get
bucks?
one thing in Total
Man,
Wine.
when I went the other day, I went looking for another bottle of JoJo chocolate chip because I wanted to bring it to somebody at work, and have one here too as well. And I went in there. They didn't have the JoJo. Apparently, that's hasn't been released to Total Wine yet. But I ended up picking the Dough Ball cookie dough whiskey, and so I grabbed a bottle of that. And then, of course, I'm making my way out, and I go to the beer aisle, and I end up getting the Parish, extra sauce. And it's like that over there, and you end up spending, $80, $90.
I lost
And,
count, but I walked out with probably at least 15 mini bottles of different shots that that's
Yeah.
like, that's
Oh, I
that's
like-
the biggest,
that
my
was
favorite part.
cool.
You walk in and all the mini
They
bottle
have,
racks.
yeah,
and-
they do. They have
yeah,
all the mini
it's like,
bottles.
I'll take that, I'll try that, and little samples of everything.
Definitely. Yeah, but I wanted to talk about briefly something that happened in the news today.
Some rather
Um,
unfortunate news.
Very unfortunate. I think we all here have some memorable memories of this person. It's Paul Rubens. He passed away with this long battle of cancer.
Right, and most of y'all, I'm sure, know who Paul Rubens is. But he was our childhood character, Pee Wee Herman. And I mean, who doesn't remember Pee Wee's Big Adventure? I mean, the biggest thing that sticks out in my mind about Paul Rubens is the movie Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
He gets on the bar and he does the tequila.
I remember
Yeah.
Francis having the swimming pool sized bathtub, playing with the boats.
I just remember that scene and like the large Marge in the
Yeah.
truck. That's honestly all I remember from Pee Wee Herman. Too much. Kind of sad, but
I mean, we had most of the toys and stuffed animals. I think I still have the Pee Wee pull string doll. I tried to sell it on eBay. Nobody wanted it, but
Well, maybe
Well,
now's the time to
y'all-
retry.
y'all
price
have
gouging. Yeah,
action figures collectibles of like probably every genre of life. If you had to guess, how many action figures do you think you have?
Well, we count the action figures separate from the bobbleheads because if we count all of that
All together, all your collectibles together. You think?
Let's see, I have close to.
I think
last
you
I
stumped
counted,
the man, guys.
How many
Well,
thousand?
if you talk about Funko Pops, I mean,
I think about 80 Funko Pops.
yeah, probably close to 100 Funkos. You know, between 70 and 100, something like that. Bobbleheads probably got around 50 or so of those. Then you're talking about regular action figures from the past. I mean, I'd be willing to say I'm probably, if you go in my man cave, there's probably about 400 or so action figures in there. Or action figures, Funko Pops, bobbleheads.
Memorabilia.
See, I never got into like to collecting stuff really outside of like I guess toys and maybe it's like some Hot Wheels, obviously. But like I think now looking at like minor league baseball T-shirts, I think that's where I want to start because like when we had the baby cakes, like everybody hated the name,
Well, those
but
are
but the logo was awesome.
Yep.
And now like I mean everybody's in love with the Savannah Bananas and they have pretty good merch, but like dude, some of the designs and T-shirts I've seen recently, I want to spend a lot of money and just collect minor league baseball T-shirts because the names are great, the alternate names are great. Like the Missouri River
are great.
Motorboaters is fantastic. Look up that logo. It's a special one night event I think they're doing. It's literally a character head. He's on like a boat. It's just like the motorboaters. And I'm like, what do you need?
You know, a lot of the minor league baseball teams outside of Savannah Bananas because they're kind of owned.
Yeah, they're not really. They're also not really in minor league in the sense of like competitive AAA players moving up and down
yeah,
to the pros and whatnot.
That's
They're
not
like college.
That's just more like kind of like fun, right?
It's like college.
It's a league.
It's a league. It's a league.
I saw the thing on Netflix. I think on it.
Yeah,
Was it Netflix?
ESPN.
Or
The
ESPN.
Savannah Banana Land.
Yeah, but yeah, I saw
Which-
that. It's like 4 teams, I think.
Yeah.
The guy owns it.
Mhm. It's probably like their version of the Harlem Globetrotters because they
Right.
always play like
Correct.
the Party Animals is a
Exactly.
team they always play.
Yeah, that's
But then when they go on tour, they'll play some other random.
right.
It's like a off-season, almost collegiate level baseball
Right.
league with that.
They got the guy with the stilts and
The umpire is the best.
the umpire. Yeah,
The dancing umpire is the
it's
best.
all kind of
I-
crazy stuff.
Would definitely go watch a game, but you can't get tickets. It's sold out everywhere.
Yeah, Grayson really wants to go, but I mean, I got to see when I can take her. I mean, they tour, don't they? They don't play at one stadium, right? They kinda
Yeah.
split.
So Todd and I travel the country and go see different professional stadiums with our sons. Todd actually wants to bring his daughter to a Savannah Banana team.
Oh, I'm in for that. We
Yeah,
take
that's-
I'm gonna give
the wagons go on a road trip. We're already talking about invading Mike's September trip to the beach.
live podcast from the balcony overlooking the waves. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
But I want to give a shout out to Pierce Howard, who UNO alum. You know, absolute animal at UNO. He played for the Savannah Bananas last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What? I really do need to follow up on our UNO alums, our UNO kids more.
A lot of them, you know, outside of like Thomas Diamond and Johnny Giovitella, a lot of them might get their starts in minors, but you never really see them get to the pros.
Eric
unfortunately.
Orzi is playing for the Syracuse Mets right now. He's in AAA. He's pretty close. He's real close. Two-time cancer survivor.
So right now we're gonna do the top 5. You want to do top 5? You
I
ready
think,
for that?
I think we should do a shot first.
Let's do a shot.
I just
okay,
finished
and
my
then,
first
and then we'll
beer,
do the
so-
top 5. That sounds like a great idea.
All right.
Oh, we've been overruled.
Oh,
Let's do the top 5. Then we'll do the shot after.
okay.
All right. So let's do. What is your top 5 favorite athlete?
No, it's five. I thought we agreed on the football players all time.
Those football players.
Yeah, let's do
Oh, football
top 5
players?
favorite football
Football
players
players.
all time.
All right. Let's do.
Training camps are getting ramped up. You know, it's almost. I think we're what 4 weeks away
Yeah, we're about a
from
month away.
from college football, 5 from NFL.
You know what?
When is the Hall of Fame game? Is that
That's coming up in like a week or two.
is
Huh?
it next
Yeah,
week?
it's like August 13th or something.
Yeah.
That's the Jets and
Yeah.
who are the Jets and Titans.
Yeah. Football game. Football
Aaron
times.
Rodgers against Derrick Henry.
So
Aaron
this
Rodgers
list
against
here is
Derrick
going to be all time, right?
Probably.
Yeah, just your top 5 favorite
Just
NFL players of all
time.
I have
All right.
not. I have nothing in my head. I'm going to say whatever comes to my mind when it gets to me.
Well, y'all need
And before
I got mine. You want
so
to?
before we even begin, let me just say that this is our favorite players. It's not our best players.
Oh,
So-
sure.
By the way, it was in.
You got some
These two
douchebag
guys
who
have
was-
to say that.
You got some douchebag who's in the comments. Well, they're not the best players ever.
Yeah,
My favorite.
We've had that happen
The best.
before. You remember those old top 5 Facebook posts that used to come out, and then you would have your top 5 favorite players, and then you got to be kidding me, that's your favorite players? Well, yeah, they're my favorite players.
Right.
It doesn't mean they're the perennial Pro Bowlers or All-Star game makers. They're my favorite players.
Why is your favorite players? Not Tom Brady and Emmitt Smith.
Let's start us off, Travis. Who are your 5 favorites?
All right, so number 5, I'm going to go with a linebacker that a lot of people may have forgotten his name, but he played kind of in the heyday of Ray Lewis, but he never quite was Ray Lewis. I'm going to go with Takeo Spikes. Followed him at Auburn, really latched on to him when he was a Cincinnati Bengal.
Very underrated player.
He was a character too.
The guy still keeps in phenomenal shape. Like he's a commentator
Yeah,
on one of the
traps
college
for days.
football networks, and the guy is huge. I mean, traps up to his ears, biceps fill his coat. Takeo Spikes will be number 5. Number 4, I'm going to go with the late Will Smith of our very own New Orleans Saints. Followed Will when he was at Ohio State. Ecstatic when the Saints drafted him. Have his jersey. I had a couple of his jerseys through the Saints. Unfortunately, died young due to a road rage incident. Number 3, I'm going to go with the another local guy, but never played for the Saints. But we're going to go with Carver High School's own Marshall Falk. Had both of his jerseys from the
Good choice.
Colts to the Rams. Just a very, two-dimensional back, where a great pass catcher, always was an all-around yards guy. Got to meet him in person a few years ago at the All-State Sugar Bowl luncheon. Fantastic guy. He would be number 3. Number 2. This is kind of a hard one for me because I consider these guys like 1A and 1B. So I guess I'll go with the next one is Phillip Rivers, San Diego's longtime core. San Diego Chargers to Los Angeles Chargers. 1 year with the Colts. Travis
The Indianapolis Colts, great. Phillip Rivers.
Travis aspired to be like him and have 10 kids. You know?
BD Phil. That man's made entire starting 11 football team,
Yeah.
including him.
Kid number 10's on the way, right?
Nope.
So he's got a whole starting offense.
I'm 2 and done. I don't aspire to be like him in that light, but I love the intensity he played with. He just, even at 40, close to 40 years old, went out there with the intensity of a kid. I loved watching him play. And in number 1, I'm going to go again as a kid. This kind of the whole reason with the Takeo Spikes thing. Outside of the New Orleans Saints, I used to, and I still do follow the Bengals now with Burrow and Chase, but Boomer Esiason would probably be my top favorite player ever. My dog, who's about 16 years old, is named after Boomer. Favorite player of all time, Boomer Esiason. Still got his jersey to this
Best
day
Jets
too.
quarterback ever.
Big Boomer.
Fuck Joe Namath. I'm sorry.
Boomtown.
Which, by the way, since we're on Boomer, they're putting him up in the Ring of Honor this year in Cincinnati, which I
Woo,
think is
yeah.
I think that's well deserved.
About
The guy
time,
doesn't
yeah.
get enough credit.
He's
So,
not there already. Jesus.
Boomer Esiason.
I thought the same thing. So why is that man not in the Ring of Honor?
Todd, who you got?
All right, number 5. I'm going to go with one of the most underrated wide receivers of all time. I mean, if you look at the history of the NFL, I mean, everybody says that the wide receiver, like a slot wide receiver, they refer to him as a Wes Welker type. Wes Welker would be number 5 for me. He's a very, very clutch, underrated wide receiver. He had about 15 concussions in his career. Should be a Hall of Famer, but maybe not. I don't know. Number 5 was probably number 4 was probably my favorite player as a kid. He, again, much like Travis's 4th, has passed away. I'm gonna go Junior Seau as my 4th overall, first football jersey I've ever owned.
By the way, but since when we cut Todd off here, Todd and I went to Sports Authority back in the day to get these jerseys. He got Junior Seau, I got Marshall Falk for the Indianapolis Colts.
And my mom got a stolen vehicle.
Crazy story was when we went in. It was a quick transition. We went in to go buy these jerseys and grabbed them off the rack. Came back out the store. and my
What do you
mom's
mean?
car is rolling out the parking lot.
Someone smashed and dashed on y'all.
I bet mom locks her car now.
I didn't
So
know
gone-
this story.
Gone, so you get that Gone in 60 Seconds movie, and that's about how quick it took to steal the star. So
Did she
They-
write the keys on there? Or?
she just had it
The door's
unlocked,
unlocked,
and they
yeah.
must have screwdriver, hot wired.
Yeah,
or
your
something.
mom's car with somebody's Eleanor?
We walk outside and we see the damn thing like just backing out. I think my mom even like was in shock and like laughed a little bit.
I
My
would be
car's
too.
rolling.
She's
Where's
sitting there
my
like,
car?
My car's what am I itself?
Dude, where's my car?
But did I forget to
Where's your car, dude?
Where was the
Parking?
Sports Authority located?
This was right on that Kenner Metairie line.
No,
Right
no,
by
no,
that
no, no,
Piccadilly.
The old laser tag was.
And that's what
okay.
actually
Oh,
that's what
Piccadilly?
actually took so long for them to come because they actually called the Jefferson Parish cops first, and then the Jefferson Parish said there's nothing we can really do. That's Kenner cops' jurisdiction.
Oh, my
So I mean, so that by the time they actually got it all figured out, the car was long gone. My mom never got the
So
car
whoever
back.
stole the car obviously did the research. That,
The whole time you were talking, I was picturing that corner store in the mall by Walden Books. What the hell was that called? Sports Authority?
Champs, huh?
No, Sports Avenue.
Sports Avenue.
That's what I was thinking. I'm picturing that the whole time you're telling that story.
Cars
And
rolling
you
out
walked
the
out the mall or something.
No.
Sports Avenue.
mall. Oh,
Yeah.
you could walk out that store and smell the origin coffee. That's not there.
Yeah. Gloria Jean.
Number 3, my number 3rd choice is going to be another very, very underrated quarterback who had his job very, very rudely taken from him by Tom Brady, and it is Drew Bledsoe. I love me some Drew Bledsoe. If y'all ever watched, it was a Tom Brady documentary on ESPN called
The Man in the Arena or whatever.
Man in the arena, yeah. That's
and
it.
you read that first episode with Drew Bledsoe, was just, it had me in tears, man. He went on the ski lift with his family the day after they won the Super Bowl, and he was crying because he wasn't the starting quarterback.
And the crazy,
so forth.
crazy thing about that too is Drew had himself a really good AFC Championship game. And then when the Super Bowl came around, they went right back to Tom Brady, who was hurt for the AFC Championship game. Yeah, that was a little messed up. I actually like Drew Bledsoe myself as well.
Have you ever had his wine?
I did not. It's like $80 a bottle.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to, does Total supply it?
I don't think so. I'm sure someone does.
All right, number 2, my second is Chad Pennington. Chad Pennington, one of the most accurate QBs in NFL history. For his career cut way too short from 3 labrum tears. One comeback player of the year for the Dolphins. But just very, very seems like a very, very humble, nice country boy. Again, very, very, very big fan of Chad Pennington. I actually had his jersey. Before he even became a starter, when he was behind Vinny Testaverde when he was first drafted at Marshall. And that was a very, very exciting college team to watch, by the way. The Marshall Thunder and Herd when they had Chad Pennington and Randy Moss. And number 1, probably one of the most underrated Saints players in history. Got to go to Saints number 1, and that is a very, very humble guy as well. We met him in person at the Walmart on Chapatulas, and it is Deuce McAllister. Deuce McAllister, again,
What a great guy. Huh?
career cut too short, 2 knee injuries.
What a great
There
guy.
was nothing
Super
like
athlete there.
nothing like handing the ball off to Deuce and watching him drag about 3 guys.
Oh,
He
that
would
was-
just tear away.
that's
It didn't even look like he
phenomenal.
was running fast. You know,
I'd be curious to look at that stat on how many times Deuce McAllister touched the ball and actually lost yards.
Yes.
Because you gave it to him and
Deuce.
he gained yards almost every time.
Again, very, very great guy, underrated. His name should be in the Saints Ring of Honor. Don't know why it isn't yet, but that's my number 1 overall favorite.
Solid list. I not gonna lie. I thought I was gonna get a little more homerism out of you two. You did well. I expected a little bit more. I'm like,
You
most
thought-
people be like, "Oh, Drew Brees is my number 1," but that's more just local Saints only fans, not really people who follow
Right.
the NFL heavy.
Look, obviously, we all have respect for Drew.
Yeah.
New Orleans would not have a Super Bowl without Drew Brees. But again, I've never latched on to the mainstream, guys like that. I've always, followed sports a little bit deeper.
And look, as much as I liked Eric Martin as a kid, Drew was my first actual real favorite Saints player. Deuce.
That makes sense.
What did I say? I said
He,
Drew. I said Drew. Deuce was my first.
I think he had an affiliation with a bourbon maybe for a while too. I know he's done a couple bottle signings, but I thought he was involved with somebody's.
Is that Deuce?
Yeah, can't remember for sure, but He did something. He's on a bunch of promos.
When he goes to the Walmarts and signs autographs, I think they usually put him in the alcohol section, so it might be something like that.
You don't see many. We don't have a lot of players that have done like what signings for like let's guess like in like whiskey or wine or something like that, or do a lot of guest appearances. At least not lately. I haven't seen like I remember Colson did one a while back. Breeze did one here or there, or something like that. But definitely should have more of that. But yeah, that's a solid pick though. Dude,
Look at the jerseys that are in my closet.
Todd, that's a solid little list. I approve of that. Sean, what about you? What's your top five?
What?
Because as I say, I think
I mean,
mine's gonna be funny but good.
I don't know. Not necessarily in any particular order. I mean, Junior Seau was one of them because I think the first jersey I ever owned in my life was Junior Seau in like the early '90s, '94 when they went to the Super Bowl, and I was all excited for them to I really didn't know much about football at the time, being like 10 years old, and all excited with my Junior Seau jersey, and then they lose by like 4 touchdowns to the 49ers, and what's his face? Steve Young threw like 6 touchdowns in that game.
Bobby Ross was the head coach, man.
Stan Humphries,
Stan the Man Humphries.
yeah, Cinderella Kings there, But
I was definitely pulling for the Chargers.
Who was the running back at the time?
Natron Means.
Natron Means, huh?
Yes,
They
sir.
probably had the enemy too at the time, huh? Was it?
I don't know. It was Marion. Yeah, because I was about to say it was either
Yeah.
Natron Means or Marion Butts.
Marion Butts, yeah. Yeah, because of that. Well, Chargers were the first team that I followed and played with on the Tecmo Bowl games and stuff. And, Marion Butts would finish the season with 35 touchdowns and, which he probably didn't even score total in his career. But, but yeah, Chargers, Colts, Saints, of course, were all teams I follow that I have the most jerseys of. And so, Chargers, I have to say, toss up between LaDainian Tomlinson or Antonio Gates. I'd say Antonio Gates probably wins out because I'm a big dude and more of the tight end type, but I like them both. And
So would that be 4 and 3, or would that just be number 4?
no, that's like together. That's a team. I mean, Colts from that era of Freeney and Mathis and Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison, and of course Peyton Manning and all them. Dallas Clark. That's probably an underground player that I have both the blue and the white jersey of. But I'd have to go as an all-time Colt favorite would be Jeff Saturday.
Oh wow! Okay.
Since I was a center myself on the O-line, and he's was head of the Players Association, I think he was, and then he was the interim coach for the Colts last year. He's a stand-up guy, everybody loves him, and he's always been a level-headed, easygoing dude, and good role model, for an obscure position, I should say. He's not a running back or a quarterback, but and then
You were an O lineman in high school, so I mean that
Right,
makes
well,
sense that you're picking O lineman.
well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I latched on to him being a center too, because I played center. He's even got a tattoo on one of his biceps that says O-line.
Didn't know that.
It's on that magazine cover of him and Peyton Manning. He's got
Always Saturday's one of these guys who's kind of we talk about talking about how bad Maurice Jones-Drew's probably another honorable mention for Todd over
He
here.
was close. I was debating on whether he was going to be my 5th.
Pocket Hercules.
Pocket Herc.
But he has completely let himself go since he retired. Saturday being an offensive lineman, along with Joe Thomas of the Browns, those guys
There
have
you
just cut a lot of weight.
Oh, yeah.
And gotten in good shape.
Nick
since
Harwick
they
was like
retired.
Jack now.
Yeah, Jeff Saturday. When I first saw him drop all that weight, I was like, "Is that the same dude?" I couldn't believe that. After he retired, it's like he's skinnier than me. Shit.
Dude, have you seen Mike Gold Sr.?
No,
Dude, he is slim.
really.
He's got the salt pepper going. He's probably dropped like 60, 70 pounds. He played the pro-am that all like the football players and basketball players do. That like Steph Curry won, I think 2 weeks ago or whatever. Dude, he is slim.
I mean, for the record, Mike and Mike in the morning was like one of my inspirations for wanting to do this.
He's about the size of Greenberg right now. Like he's a little bit bigger than Mike Greenberg. Tell you how much weight he lost.
Wow.
Wild.
How many more slots do I have? 3 more?
Well, you said Seau, but then you gave the shout out to Gates and Tomlinson. Then you said
Saturday.
Peyton Manning, Saturday, Dallas Clark. So yeah.
Well, I'll throw in 3 more just to
It's your list. Do what
just
you
to
want.
keep it. Well, no, I won't talk too much about this dude, but Tulane, Louisiana's own Matt Forte.
Oh, that's why I say Sean King.
Always a humble dude.
Draft Sean King.
We drafted him over LaShawn McCoy that year, and he still did okay for us, even though it was like every game, we regret this
That's
decision.
really solid. Very, very underrated right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt Forte, and then who else was I going to say? Of course, Kurt Warner,
Yeah, good pick.
because he's always, same thing in the '90s. I didn't know that much about football. Dude to latch on to, like his story. I can honestly say the American Underdog movie was pretty good.
I've actually still never watched that and still want to. I don't know
Same
why.
here. I
I kind
haven't-
of got
I haven't
off my
seen
list
it.
for a little bit.
I can say they focus definitely more on his story and how he met his wife and the kid and her son with special needs that he took in as his own, and it's very, it'll make you tear up more than it's way more about that than about
It's
the
a
football.
heartwarming tale.
Exactly. I mean, they touch on it. His Iowa Barnstormers days, and the coach literally said, "If you score a touchdown, I'll pay you," and handed him cash on the sideline for every touchdown he threw. He was like, "Oh, I like this gig," He learned how to throw touchdowns pretty quick after that.
Look, Rams fan or not, I mean, though they were in the Saints division for a long time, it was hard for me, Marshall Falk being on that team to not pull for that team. Kurt Warner, Marshall Falk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey
Greatest
Holt,
show on turf. Torrey Holt.
Show,
Torrey Holt. I was a
Isaac
fan of him
Bruce.
too.
Very, very
stacked team.
underappreciated.
And you know who else they had on there who was underappreciated? Underappreciated as a Ram and a Saint was Charlie Clemens.
Everyone out there, who?
Yeah.
Wait. Let me pull up
Charlie
the-
Clemens.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't he? Charlie Clemens was the other 56 on the Saints. You go from the grade of Pat Swilling. Well, now
He's
Charlie
second year
Clemens
with Saints.
did
He
that
led the
numbers
league
and
in
good
sacks,
too.
didn't he? Wasn't he tied for the league in sacks?
A lot of Saints fans forgot about Charlie Clemens.
Once again,
but
I will have to pull out Google and
I'm not a
Fact check
statistician.
he had third-
statistician.
I
like
believe
myself,
it was
but-
third. I believe it was 13 and a half sacks he got one year.
I think he was tied for the league.
Well, there
Don't
you
forget
go.
about Charlie Clemens, Saints fans.
So,
Very underrated
There
Saints
you go.
linebacker.
To cap off my list of 7.5 players or whatever I just said, to a Ram and a Colt that I have a jersey of that I haven't worn yet. Y'all probably don't know I own it. Of both teams is Eric Dickerson,
Oh, I thought you were going to go
Great.
Marshall Falk as well
No.
there.
Hall of Famer. I got the Rams jersey first, then I got the Colts jersey. I'm a Colts fan. I got to get the Colts jersey too, so I have them both in the closet.
There you go.
Yep.
I think you did wear one to one of the drafts.
Did I? I forget. I have to look.
By the way, since all those who are new to the show or listening, I don't know if we mentioned this at all in our first podcast, but our fantasy football draft is coming up, and I think what makes our league a little bit more unique from other leagues, and maybe some other people do it, but we we're all New Orleans Saints fans here, but we've set a rule in our league where you show up to the live draft and you wear a jersey from a player from any other team, and it can be one of the guys we mentioned in our top 5. It can be just a regular guy that, hey, I like this guy right now, and we pick up his jersey, $20 wholesale, something like that. But we all show up wearing a different player's jersey from a different team other than the Saints, and it's always fun to see who's gonna walk in the door wearing what. And I think that's something that sets aside our fantasy league from others.
Definitely adds to the fun, I would say.
I'll get to that. I'll address that in a minute.
It
when
still
I get to- when I
pushes
get
me
to my
buying
top
jerseys.
5.
There's certain jerseys I buy if I can wear it to the draft at least, and then we'll figure out the rest.
So my top 5, and this is in no order whatsoever. It's probably going to be a little quarterback heavy, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm still trying to think of these names.
Did you aspire to be a quarterback? Is that why you have more quarterbacks in your top 5, or just you just like
no,
them?
just like him.
Okay.
Brett Favre, I think he's
Hey.
a hell of a guy.
Very polarizing these days.
I think, yeah, he is. He is, but
Hey, he was off the hook for that
he
one.
was. But looking back at his
photos or
Or more than that.
looking back at his
Welfare
time
problems.
as playing in the league, I mean, he was just phenomenal. He really was. He deserves all that.
I mean, I still don't. I mean, I don't know if there's any quarterback. Maybe y'all can correct me on this. That threw as hard as Brett Favre. Like Brett Favre looked like he was out there trying to break his receiver's hands.
Yeah.
And in a total unorthodox kind of throwing style too.
Gunslinger. That's
I
what he was
would
known
say-
as.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I will say him and Steve McNair were probably the two toughest son of a bitches that ever played
He could take
quarterback.
a hit too. Yeah, absolutely.
Three-time MVP, 3 seasons in a row.
Playing on the day after his dad passed. That was
Yeah.
pretty
He
pretty
threw
wild.
4 touchdowns on Monday Night Football the day his dad passed away.
Yeah, that was wild.
Randy Moss.
Hey,
Oh, that's a
I
wide
think
receiver.
Randy Moss is just
That's
phenomenal.
Cannon's guy.
What,
We can get
what
him out here and
ball
talk
can't Randy Moss?
Marshall Thundering Herd.
Randy
Randy
Moss.
Moss.
Yeah,
Chad
just-
Pennington's target.
Yeah,
Randy
Todd,
Moss.
Todd gave Randy Moss a shout out when he mentioned his Chad Pennington pick at number 2 when he said the Marshall.
I have a Marshall Thundering Herd pennant still hanging in my office at work because of Chad Pennington.
I don't know if it was a Thanksgiving game or a game, maybe the game against Dallas. He had like 3 catches, 166 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
yes, that was his rookie
What-
rookie
yeah,
year.
Wasn't that in the
Thanksgiving.
first half though?
It was Thanksgiving, his rookie season. 3 catches, 160 something yards, and 3 touchdowns. All 3 catches were long touchdowns. And that was when he looked at the camera and he's like, "You can't stop me" or whatever. And that
Mhm.
picture of him pointing with his stats underneath it.
Yeah.
That was iconic.
Randy Moss. I like that show. It's
Randy Moss, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
23
no,
touchdowns,
cut you off
still a
again, Michael.
record.
It was where I know we're not terribly old. We're all approaching 40 or at 40, but was did Pennington and Moss kind of put Marshall on the map, or was there anybody really before them that came out of there?
I think they probably did.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of Marshall before they
You're
showed up. So
I was about to say, what's Marshall? I'm totally kidding.
We are Marshall.
We are Marshall, exactly.
Matt McConaughey put him on the map.
he does that for Austin, Texas. But
All right.
All right.
All
So
Number 3.
That was number 2.
Number
That was the
so
second.
I got
You
Brett
said
Favre,
Moss.
Randy
Oh,
Moss,
those are the only 2. Okay.
Dan the Man Marino.
Oh, I thought
Yes.
you
Yeah.
were
He's
one.
not number 1, Mike.
What? No, this is in no particular
Right,
order.
that's kinda like
No
how
particular
I was just
order.
spouting
I
off,
can't.
yeah.
I cannot put a number. But no, he would be my number 1. I mean, he would be. Just as a kid,
As a Cuban,
just
like last on to the Dolphins.
I was a Dolphins fan. I
Did it
was.
have anything to do with you being Cuban?
Maybe, maybe.
Hey,
no,
hey.
but no, I have a lot of
My
family
child
in
latched
Miami.
on to the Dolphins playing Tecmo Bowl on NES with me. She just liked Dolphins.
I
That's-
got a lot of a lot of family in Miami, and they were big Dolphins fans. And growing up, you kind of
I still have to say that '90s Dolphins uniform probably still one of my
Some of
favorites.
Some of the best.
The kind of
Jimmy
like
Duffy,
that
baby.
aqua color with the orange, and then just the
Hey,
logo on
remember
the
the
helmet.
starter jackets?
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Mhm.
my god.
Oh, that could be a
That's
topic for another time.
I
right
tell you what.
there.
After Patrick says it's top 5, we're going to talk starter jackets.
So, yeah. 'Cause I had a few starter jackets. I wanted to collect more. If they weren't so expensive now, I'd probably collect a few more. But man, it's $200 for a novelty thing from your childhood. But they were so
Every kid in
cool.
New Orleans in the 90s.
Mhm.
Charlotte Hornets, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
Well,
Yeah.
back on the logo, real quick, of the Dolphins. When my son was born and first started developing an interest in sports, he's 11 now. He actually became a Jarvis Landry fan when he was on the Dolphins, and he
New
wanted
Orleans own Jarvis Landry.
New Orleans own.
Old Perry Walker High School.
Okay.
He wanted a Miami Dolphins hat, and I was actually able to find one with the old '90s logo on it, not the more modern one. Which that '90s logo was just one of the best in my opinion.
Like the one where the dolphin was in the middle of the sun.
Yeah.
Kind of, because I know they enhanced it and he was
They
bigger.
made
like
throughout
actually
the
looked like
years. They made the Dolphins,
And now the
bigger
Dolphins,
and
like, busting through the
smaller.
sun.
Ace
Yeah.
Ventura, like,
You know,
like
what's the
Ace
one
Ventura
the
style,
Dolphins?
Yeah.
Ace Ventura,
Yeah.
Pet Detective style, Ray Finkel style.
Pretty Finkel dolphin.
The next one is like a twofer, with the Patriots. Wes Welker when he
Oh, yeah.
played. Wes
Yeah.
Welker and then Julian Edelman.
That's
that was,
two Wes Welkers in the top 5, so 5 guys sitting on the table. That's
he,
impressive.
No, but he was impressive playing.
He was.
man.
He was fun to watch.
He's the man.
I can't believe
He gave short white guys like us, a
He
reason
was-
to think we
he
can
was
play slot
quick.
receiver.
you'd lose him on the screen. You'd be watching, the game, and like all of a sudden you lose him, and you're like, where did he go? And then all of a sudden he catches the ball. It was
I would say if Julian Edelman goes into the Hall of Fame, just at all, or before Wes Welker, it's a tragedy.
Julian Edelman, I think, became where he is now because
Because
Wes
You're
Welker
absolutely right.
ended his career.
Exactly. He paved the way for that
He
style.
paved the
receiver.
way for that style, exactly.
What style of receiver would that be?
Balls of the
Short,
wall.
fast white guys. What are you talking
That's
about?
Walker really fast.
Towel
Yeah,
boys,
I
like
think
Bill
he does.
Belichick
Towel
likes.
boys.
Yeah, the short towel boys, like Bill Belichick.
Absolutely.
That should be a
This
fancy
should
football
try-
team. It's just towel boys. You
This
draft
recently
only
tried
short
out
white
their towel
receivers.
boy at wide receiver.
Give me a good slot guy.
Was he one of the
So-
handsome ones that, who was it, Melissa drafted handsome players that year?
Yeah.
Every single player had to be handsome, and I think
Yeah.
Wes Welker was on the team.
So my last pick is going to be very unpopular here at this table, probably in the whole city of New Orleans.
Please don't tell me what I think. Please don't say who I think this is going to be.
It's Tom
Oh no!
Brady.
Boy, so
At least
Drew,
you didn't say Michael Vick
so
was
Drew
on there.
Brees didn't make your top 5, but Tom Brady
No,
did.
no. At my household,
Go
My
buy
wife-
Breeze shit.
My wife is a Drew Brees fan, and I'm a Tom Brady fan.
Oh.
Ugh.
Like I said, it's very unpopular.
Very
but
unpopular at this
True.
table,
I think.
but yes, you're right. In New Orleans in general,
I think.
Hey,
I
Tom
think
Brady
he-
eats Walmart King
Bledsoe.
cake.
Look,
Old
I,
man is
I go. I'm willing to say he is the GOAT. He will be the GOAT forever, and
there's no denying what the guy did. I
He's-
mean, he's the
unreal,
best to ever
man.
play. He really is.
he's unreal. He's unreal.
However, I think just his personality throws a lot of people
but
off.
we're going by his athleticism, his accolades, his games, his playing, his championships. I mean, I'm not looking at the man. I mean, he's a cheater and like all the stuff that my wife talks about. I'm not looking about it. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at just him
Deflategate.
playing the
I
sport.
mean, right now,
him
you
playing
know,
the sport. He is the best.
There's no
quarterback.
doubt. There's
No
no doubt.
doubt.
He's the
Yeah.
best.
I mean, without Giselle in his bedroom, he's.
I admitted it in the
every night
last 2 years, 3 years. Once he finally won that Tampa Super Bowl, I'm like, all right, he's got to be the GOAT. I don't like it, but he's the GOAT.
And
Speaking
he,
of goats, Adley
and
Rutschman's at the plate.
not only is he the GOAT, he is in the GOAT in this era where it's quarterback heavy.
Yeah.
Like, because like you talk about, when we were kids and before that, when NFL got started, it was all a running game, He is the GOAT in a time where it's hard to be the GOAT.
Yeah. Look at
Where they had-
Mike going digging at the pass
They
game
got-
saying it used to be a running man's game.
It is. It used to be.
Well, to give homage to your boy Dan Marino, throwing for 5,000 yards in 1984 when that was unheard of.
Exactly.
Well, who was the first person to throw for 5,000 yards after
Absolutely.
that?
Dan-
Was like what? This era, like Drew
Exactly.
Brees or one of them?
Exactly.
Dan Marino might be the best player to still never win a Super Bowl.
Oh,
And then of course my
100%.
bias kicks in and says
League
Phil
MVP,
Rivers.
5,000 yards passing,
100%.
and loses the Super Bowl.
100%. He was in a different class, different era, and I mean he was phenomenal. Anyway,
I'd
So-
actually read an article, shared it with a few of y'all the other day. Last year in the NFC Championship game when Brock Purdy got hurt,
Mhm.
they said had the 49ers actually held on to win that game, they were going to sign Phillip Rivers to start the Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
Interesting.
To be fair to Mike, though, his pick, like Tom Brady on the Bucks, like had a personality that he didn't have in New England, that he couldn't have because of how they operate. Like, granted, like his social media and Instagram is all like run by someone, but Tom Brady is actually kind of cool.
My favorite
Like outside
thing,
of like New England,
my
Tampa
favorite
Tom
thing
is
about
personality-wise,
Tampa
is a
Tom,
cool person.
about Tom going to Tampa is he changed those ugly ass uniforms that they had when they had Jameis and everything. It's like they reinvented the team. The uniforms changed.
Yeah, everything changed.
Yeah, it's like it was a completely different team when Tom Brady came to town.
It's not top 5 worthy, but I'm telling you right now, one of the best NFL uniforms ever is the Bucks creamsicle, and I will fight
Oh,
you.
I love
I will fight you
I
if
like
you say
it.
otherwise.
I
Those
like it.
were
I-
amazing.
I don't know if you have any people that disagree with you at this table.
No.
Like Sean didn't
I
say
mean,
anything, but I think
also-
they're agreeing.
I
Those
mean,
are-
as
those
much
are
as I
fine
hate the
jerseys.
Patriots, I think their old school red jerseys with the
Oh,
white
yeah.
helmet.
Yeah, that
Oh my
was a
God,
good one.
best jersey.
Irving Fryar was one of my favorite players back in the day when they were wearing the red jerseys with the white helmet, just because they were so cool.
All right, so
And then he jumps from the
two
plate.
more shout outs to uniforms here real quick. That old school '90s Seattle Seahawks, which I think they're actually
coming
bringing
back.
Bring it
back,
back.
Bring it
They look great.
phenomenal.
They look
And then
fresh.
again, the reason why I was a Cincinnati Bengals fan as a kid, along with the Saints, I love those Tiger Strike helmets. For some reason, the white ones were cool. The white ones didn't quite do it for me like the orange and black. All right, so Pat, who you got in your top 5?
All right, so like I said, my top 5 is going to be a little controversial, but bear with me. Just clear some space. I'm gonna probably go rapid fire with my 5
Megatron.
because
It's
it's
probably
be a great shout out. But I'm gonna just give a brief statement about my top 5. No order except for like the top probably
Right,
1 or
before
2.
that.
Number 5, Ronaldinho. Amazing soccer player, great footballer. Hey, this is my top 5 favorite footballers, baby. Let me do it. Ronaldinho led Barcelona, scored goals for club and
Jesus.
country. Amazing,
We
all
call
kind
it
of all the
soccer in this
flair,
country.
all the Jogo Bonito, all of it. That was all around the Ronaldinho.
We're not
time.
at Finn McCool's here,
Amazing,
goddammit.
amazing.
Hold on. Like, we could have we told you we could have did a separate one just upon This we're doing football Americano here, Patrick. We could have did a separate one for soccer.
Well, hey,
because
by the way,
we
my
do all
I
favorite-
bet he can.
us
My
four would have just
favorite
need.
soccer player of all time, Diego Armando Maradona.
Who?
Okay,
My favorite soccer player.
I can't argue with that. I won't argue with that.
That dude's a beast.
We just would have needed a
Is he
little
Cuban?
extra time to research this. But,
No.
but okay, go
That's
ahead.
right.
Go ahead with your football.
It's
one.
my favorite footballers. Let me have it. Number 4, Lionel Messi, the GOAT. Barcelona, every game, yes.
No.
If you
Not the
if you
goat, not the
argue,
goat, not-
if you argue,
no,
if you want
Pele
to argue,
is the fucking goat.
I will
Sure.
understand and
I
respect
don't know much
that
about soccer,
argument.
but I'll give you that.
I
Yeah.
will understand
Pele
and
might
respect
be-
We're
that.
talking
But-
NFL here. What the
but
fuck
Mike-
are we doing?
Mike, this is my top
The
5,
basis
Mike.
for this.
This is my top
Can't
5.
argue.
Let me
All
have
right,
my
go
number.
ahead, go ahead.
Next, I'm
We
going to
did
list
not-
my top 5
We,
highlight
Number-
players.
we did
Okay.
not
Number
specify
three.
Wait, did I mention my top 5
Number
football
three.
Americano. Let the man speak. Let the man
Number 3. The reason, number 3 and number 2 are interchangeable, but they are both the reason I wear these specific number on all my sports jerseys. It's Xavi and Iniesta for Barcelona. They ran the midfield to the Spain's golden
Right,
age
Xavi.
and Barcelona's golden age. I famously showed up to our draft party where we had to wear football jerseys, wearing an Iniesta jersey because I'm that jerk. And those are my 2 of my favorite players because they're guys that dominated a game and they're small in stature, but they weren't the most physical. They weren't the fastest. They were pretty slow actually, but they pulled all the strings like a quarterback would.
I like that you brought up why you wear a certain number with the sports you play. That's the same reason I wear number 28. I mentioned Marshall Falk in my top.
Yeah. So I'll either wear number 6 or number 8 on all my jerseys because of them. When I started getting really big into football, that was
Football.
that Barcelona team was a team I gravitated to in like 98, 99, and they were integral pieces just coming into the team. So I just fell in love with them. And number 1, Marshall Falk.
There
you go.
All right,
New
so we
Orleans
got a
own.
mixture.
Loved him. He used to work for the Saints as a popcorn sales boy in the Dome. But he also played on the Greatest Show on Turf team. I love that team because of the uniforms. I kind of fell in love with more him than the team, but Kurt Warner was on the team.
Yep.
Plus Torrey Holt,
Isaac
Isaac Bruce, Akeem,
I'm
yeah.
Hakeem.
Ricky Prohl,
Ricky Prohl.
Yep.
But yeah,
Charlie Clemens.
Marshall Falk. Marshall Falk's my favorite football player
So,
of all time.
Nobody's mentioning Orlando Pace Hall of Fame.
No.
Ohio State.
No, absolutely not.
Sean put in an offensive lineman. It is. I like
So,
that.
so interesting enough, through all of our top 5s, we had a couple of mutuals here. We had Marshall Falk between Patrick and myself, and we had Wes Welker between Mike and Todd. So
Junior Seau with
You should also
Oh,
point
and-
out the
and-
Carver Rams. They were the Rams.
right,
I
and
have,
Junior,
I have an issue with
With
Carver
the
High, so
orange and
let's not get into
green,
that.
like nasty ass uniform color.
and Junior Seau between Todd and Sean. So there's actually 3 guys that
Right.
came up twice on this
To,
top
to,
5.
to keep it back on topic, though, my real top 5, though, Marshall Falk is still number 1. But number 5, little home pick, nobody mentioned him, but I love him, Dalton Hilliard.
Absolutely.
He's my guy.
Yeah.
He's my guy.
All-time leading rusher before.
Yeah.
As a kid, I used to have a badass Dalton Hilliard poster where he was running over the dome and they had lightning coming down. It was freaking awesome. Badass
We
poster.
should still have that.
My,
Yeah, it got ripped up from balls getting thrown against it.
my number 4, LT, but Daniel Thomason.
Yep.
Yeah,
I threw him out there.
Sean
and
kinda gave him
This
an
dude.
honorable mention.
I mean, scored,
I got a power
ran,
blue
blocked,
LT jersey.
caught the ball, did everything.
Let me tell you my first experience with Daniel Tomlinson. It was the first year of fantasy football. And Todd and I were having internet problems at our house because we had the shitty ass AOL
That's going to
dial-up
be
and
another
whatnot.
conversation for our draft day podcast.
And we ended up we really wanted Corey Dillon with our number 1 pick, running back for the Bengals at the time. And then our computer froze and actually selected Drew Bledsoe when he was on the Bills.
Yeah.
And Daniel Tomlinson back to back. And we were pretty pissed at it because we didn't really want either of those guys. But those ended up being the 2 guys that carried us to the playoffs.
the
So,
reason that we went to
again,
playoffs.
proves that Todd and I don't know shit about fantasy football, but at the same time, all the props to Daniel Tomlinson for that year because he carried us to the playoffs.
Carolina's defense, baby.
You know who else carried us to the playoffs that year? Who never got enough love because he fell out of being pretty good pretty fast was Bills running back Travis Henry.
Oh, Travis Henry.
He had a really good year that year and
Yeah.
helped carry us to the
He was a
playoffs.
rookie that year, wasn't
I think he was.
My number 3, it's more the personality of the man, but he was a damn good player in his time. Marshawn Lynch,
Yeah.
entertaining as all hell, beast mode. Granted, he famously did the Saints dirty in the playoff
He
game.
became beast mode when he ran all over the
Yeah,
Saints.
that was not great, but
wasn't his fault.
but Marshawn Lynch is just a character. I love listening to him interviews and talks. He's a good player, but he's more of a personality pick for me than so much the
interview
player
where
per
his answer
se.
to every question was yeah. And also, I'm
This is
here.
just so you don't
I'm here
Just
so I won't get fired.
And that's how I feel about going to work sometimes. I'm just so I don't get fired. You know,
I just work here.
Look, I think if we had our fantasy league commissioner here, Mark would probably have Marshawn in his top 5 too.
I mean, yeah. Who doesn't love Marshawn? Minus that that Saints playoff game where he just torched us. Number 2, the personality matched the quality of the play and the player, and everyone wanted his shoe and wanted to wear a starter jacket because of him. Prime time.
Oh,
Deion
yeah.
Sanders.
Deion Sanders.
He brought it to you. As famously, he brought it to you on all 4 downs and then on punt return too.
I used to hate the guy as a player, but then listening to him and on NFL Network when he was on there and his insight, he knew the game so well.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he's a cocky, flashy dude, but he backed it up.
backed it up.
Oh yeah, he played so many different positions, offense, defense. People don't remember him playing offense too.
Yeah.
But yeah, when listening to him on NFL Network, I love the dude.
But he may be cocky and flashy, but he doesn't seem like a dick. You know what I mean? Like some of these guys.
Well,
I think
maybe,
be
maybe
assholes.
Coach Prime might be a little bit of a dick, but
Why? Because he
but-
bailed on Jackson State.
well, not so much that. But when he got
I
to
mean, you can't blame
Colorado,
the man for taking the
he
money.
told like the team was like, hey, a lot of y'all want to be here. I'm bringing some luggage with me, aka my own players. So some of y'all you're gonna have to hit the door. But no, like, I remember having his shoes.
The Jerry curl.
I did not have a Jerry curl. I also love that he played 2 sports. That was really cool.
Oh yeah,
It was
his
him and-
story
him and
about
Bo
how
Jackson.
he played a MLB game and with the Falcons back to back, like in 24 hours.
Yeah.
they have a whole like special about.
Yeah,
it. That's
maybe a
amazing.
30 for
It's a
30 or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's a 30 for 30. Yeah.
Like you had to be good when you played for both the Falcons and the Cowboys, and people still love you.
My go-to, it's hard to find on YouTube. It was like, not that it was in 2020. It was when he was on NFL Network. It was like game day final or something like that. And it was when it was early in the season. It was like everybody hyping up the Browns. And it was when they got Odell and everything. And it was just like the way he was on live TV, he was just so blunt about it. And I was laughing my ass off. I think I have it recorded somewhere that he's like, whoa, so what? They got Odell and Baker's on every commercial that Shaq ain't on and shit like that. And he was saying stuff like that. They're not that damn good. Stop talking about the Browns. And then just the way he went on that, I was just like, I love this dude.
Yeah, he was cocky, but like he was also like funny with being cocky. And it was never like malicious, like these punks couldn't carry my jockstrap or anything like that. He might have thought that. He might have even said it in some way, but it was usually delivered with like a sense of humor and some comedy to it that you didn't really get that upset by Deion. Plus, it's Deion Sanders. Like it was one of the best corners.
If memory serves,
ever.
he won
So-
Defensive Player of the Year with the Cowboys, then goes to the 49ers the next season in 94 and wins Defensive Player of the Year again.
Mhm.
His only year on the 49ers.
Yeah,
Like,
He
holy
did,
shit.
yeah.
Holy shit. Or
Those-
maybe it was 49ers first, then Cowboys, but it was Defensive Player of the Year back-to-back with 2 different teams.
yeah, and yeah. So like my number 1 was Marshall Falk, as I said, just because hometown Rams, great player also. The talking about jerseys, the old school Rams jerseys.
Oh, the other
From
one.
back in the day, even like the Deacon Jones era Rams, and they kind of tweaked it a little bit to get
Yep.
to the, a little more modern before they went to the Greatest Show on Turf
Yep.
ones. Those were
Yeah, the royal and yellow.
I feel like,
that's the
I know
actual
it's
Marshall Falk
superstitious, but I think they screwed themselves going to the traditional gold for the second Super Bowl when the Patriots beat them. I felt like they were getting a little too cocky then. Warner won his second MVP and all that, and it was just like they thought they were unbeatable, and then the Patriots come out of nowhere, and it's like, yep, Greatest Show on Turf was dead.
Yeah, we could probably do a whole episode on just like throwback jerseys and stuff like that.
That said Dickerson jersey I have got a 40 patch. I think it was like the
Yeah.
40th anniversary of the team. I forget what year it says on the bottom.
I mean, there will be some days when I wear some of my jerseys. As you know, I mean, I know Sean's got a whole closet full, but I have a whole closet full. Travis has a whole closet full. I've kind of made it a tradition at work to where usually on Fridays I'll wear a sports jersey to work. Could range from NFL to MLB to NHL. It could be any kind of jersey. I got a couple of soccer jerseys.
Right on. MLB doesn't do as many throwbacks as I think they should.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely do like an old like Ricky Henderson A's throwback jersey.
So my next jersey choice, I just got a Guardians Andreas Jimenez, but when I'm ready to buy another one, I think I'm going old school Montreal Expos Tim Rock Reigns.
That'd be a solid choice, Tim Raines.
The X-Pros, as my dad used to call them.
Yeah. The old Montreal Expos would be a solid jersey choice like that. Man, I could spend so much money on old school jerseys. That'd be so cool.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know, that's a solid top five. I think we all did well on that.
What was it? It was some kind of, I think it was on NFL Network. It was a documentary thing about the about the Tuck rule. It was Tom Brady had Charles Woodson over at his house, and it was, I'm sure there was a friggin', huge TV crew and everything recording this, but they made it like it was just them two just chilling on his couch, and they were, it was pretty funny just watching Charles like basically get to like at some point just like, come on, Tom, come on, like that was a fumble, and he was like, yeah, well, yeah, and it was just funny the whole show with just Charles Woodson, not my most favorite player, but I mean it was just watching him kind of like them poke fun at each other. Tom got some shots in too, and so you can tell that they're good friends, even though they were like saying like, yeah, I don't know about that, and Charles Woodson acting like he made Tom Brady because of that one play, stuff like that, But anyway, I forget what it is. I think it was an NFL Network original. But
Hey, speaking of that, how about we start do our little shots that we've grown accustomed to?
Yeah, and Mike, while you pull those out, speaking of Charles Woodson, he's another guy that made starter jackets like cool when he had his. Because I mean, who didn't want to be like him or Dion back in the day? But yeah, go ahead and pass those shots around. Or we just
What kind of starter jackets did you guys have? I remember back when I was in fourth grade, I couldn't wait to open one up for Christmas, and I actually ended up getting a Phoenix Suns. That was back in the day when Barkley was on the Phoenix Suns, and they were my favorite basketball team because of Barkley. And that Christmas, I asked my mom for a Phoenix Suns one. I could not wait to open it up. So that was my starter jacket back in the day, and I kind of wish I still had it now as a 39-year-old man, but I guess we sold it.
I wish I had a Dan Marley Suns jersey from back in the day, because that's a great throwback jersey. I think I had a Raiders starter jacket, maybe, probably because of Bo. But then I had the Cowboys starter jacket, which looking back on it, I regret that because it's the Cowboys, but they were so
Dak
cool
Prescott,
back in the day.
that's all you could get at the time.
That or like the Niners or whatever.
I just want to say
I'll touch on that.
that Dak Prescott is probably dangerously close to my top 5.
I can understand that. You've got Mississippi State ties.
Rain Dakota Prescott.
Rain Dakota.
I had a Jacksonville Jaguars starter jacket only because I like the colors.
Very underrated color and uniform.
You said the Jaguars?
The Jaguars.
Mark Brunell days?
The Jimmy Smith days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 1996 and
Keenan
Mark
McCardell.
forward.
Hey, the Jags are going to be pretty damn good.
Can I just say
With
something?
Ridley now back on their team and Trevor
And
Lawrence
old T-Law?
taking a step up.
I've got all right, so
All right, guys, let's do the shot.
Oh, let's take a shot.
This is for the podcast. This is for us.
What kind of shot is
This
it?
is the dough ball. Dough ball. It's a cookie dough flavored whiskey. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Mike.
Oh, it tastes like cookie dough.
So let me just talk about Mark Brunell for a
Oh, I
second.
think I've had this before.
Since we just mentioned Mark Brunell, there's always like a little sour spot with me for Mark Brunell when he was on the Saints. Because
Oh, boy.
y'all have known me long enough to know that I was a diehard Joey Harrington supporter. He was
Who?
on
Joey Harrington.
he was on the Detroit Lions, followed him to the Miami Dolphins, even to the Atlanta Falcons, and I was ecstatic when the Saints signed him.
Pop quiz. Where do you play in college? Go.
Oregon.
All right.
Why did you initially like him, then?
I had a little man crush on him. I thought I found him pretty
His
handsome.
boyish good looks.
But at the same point, Saints signed him. I was ecstatic. I thought he was going to be groomed to be the replacement for Drew Brees eventually for when Drew Brees retired. And then Mark Brunell beat him out. They only kept 2 quarterbacks that year. They cut Joey Harrington, kept old ass Mark Brunell,
And then they later signed
Chase Daniels.
Chase Daniel.
I'll always hold a grudge against Chase Daniel as well for the same
The
reason.
richest backup quarterback
I
ever.
am so jealous of
Chase
Chase
Smartest
Daniels.
investor in the
All that money for so little hidden
NFL.
damage on his body. Oh,
Actually,
what a career.
Again, as much as I dislike him personality-wise, and the fact that he, was kept over Joey Harrington, there's no two ways about it. That man has played his cards correctly. Most highest paid, probably backup quarterback in NFL history. Probably never had an injury in his career. I mean, the guy has played it well, and he's a multimillionaire. So,
Brian Mountcastle double.
all right. So while we're talking, we say that Mike had the Jaguars, I had the Suns, Patrick had the Raiders and the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, I have a
How
fun
about them
take on this
boys?
because I never got to get a starter jacket. I always had the Pro Player brand.
Oh man,
Pro Player Hornets. Because
Somebody's
everybody had
parents
Charlotte
before.
Hornets in the 90s. I had a hat too. I remember I had a matching hat. But then growing up in New Orleans in the 90s, Dallas Cowboys, of course, because they were, won 3 Super Bowls in the recent memory then. Now you got to pull up the VHS tape to find those Super Bowls, but Bazing.
How long's
Anyway.
that
25 years or
been?
something.
Are they still them boys?
But the curveball in this is I don't remember why. It's as a parent myself, I think about this when I raise my own child. That for some reason, again, 90s, you got to think of the teams that were good and popular. My mom bought probably I think it was at Payless some discount shoes. They were 49ers tennis shoes. Tennis shoes that were like gold and red and had 49er logos on them. And she just couldn't understand why I never wore them. It's like because they're got a football team on them. Like she just didn't get why I didn't want to wear these to school. And I finally did in 7th grade, and I got the most fun made out of me for these fucking shoes.
So
Like every kid in school was like, "Hey, Louis, why you get you got 49ers on your feet?"
You're a
Like,
victim of bullying.
and I was just like so
Yes.
mortified wearing these shoes. And I remember coming home and like, tearing into my mom and like, see, this is why. Like coming home in tears and like, this is why I don't wear 49er tennis shoes to school. So it's like when my daughter, who just turned 9, says like, oh, I don't want a, frozen thermos anymore. I was like, it's too girly or too kiddish. I was like, I get it. I 100% get it because, stuff that embarrasses them, it embarrasses them,
I would get shit for owning the pair of Deion Sanders shoes that I had because they were white and blue for the Cowboys. And it's not that I was like a Cowboys fan. I just wanted the Deion's because he's one of my favorite players. But yeah, like just kids and their shoes and their fashion today, and like no one's here really a sneakerhead, right? Well, not in the sense of like
I own one pair of tennis shoes.
collecting like short custom like
Yeah.
dunks and lows and SBs like that.
No,
I think we're all in some way. Well, I know Todd and Travis are like they have a lot of shoes,
man. Hey, dude.
Vans. That,
I
that's
do
the
like
thing.
Vans.
I'm the newest member of the Vans Club. I got my second pair ever thanks to Travis in a situation where somebody had a pair and it didn't work for him.
One of my
Came
coworkers
to
gave me a
me.
pair too big and gave it to Patrick. And
And now I'm hooked. And
the
now
rest is history.
I need like 8 more pairs of Vans because I just can't
I
get
think I
enough.
got about 7 myself.
I'm like that with the Hey Dudes. Like, I bought my first pair and like I cannot stop wearing them. They're like amazing shoes.
I'm thinking the only one that hasn't mentioned the starter jacket. I mean, I was the one who had the prototypical Charlotte Hornets jacket. It was the black with of course, that cool ass Hornet logo on it. I was a big Hornet. I would say the Hornets, that '90s era team with Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, and Muggsy Bogues is probably my top 5 favorite teams ever. But I mean, the jacket in and of itself with the black and teal and purple, it was fire, man.
If we did a top 5 favorite NBA players,
Oh god,
Muggsy Bogues is on my top 5.
LJ's
For
number
reasons
one.
you could probably figure out if you know
That sounds
That
like
how-
that
how-
sounds like the next podcast episode.
Oh, man.
maybe, or hey, top 5 throwback or just uniforms in general. Favorite
Sounds
uniforms. That'd be a good one too.
Hey, real quick, anything y'all been watching lately on movies, Netflix, or anything like that?
I haven't started yet, but if you remember the show Justified that came on back in the day, they did like 6 seasons. It was on FX.
Timothy Oliphant.
We have Timothy Oliphant and Walter Goggins when he
Vance.
was a U.S. Marshal in Kentucky. They just like a
How was it
mini
Bullet?
series launch of that, like
Bullet
called
Proof.
Justified Primeval. He's out in Detroit now with his daughters like of age. Like I think she's a teenager now. I think they're episode 4, but I'm about to start that right now. And I'm so excited for that because that is probably my top 2, 3 favorite TV shows of all time. I still rewatch episodes. Like I won't watch new stuff. I'll just keep rewatching old stuff, and it's usually that because it's well written. There's a lot of action. Someone dies pretty much every episode. If you like a little bit of gun violence, it's got some of that in it. So I'm about to start that probably tomorrow. That's my thing.
So I heard all that you know the rumors and stuff that you hear on the news about Jamie Foxx, about how that whole accident thing that he had and where he passed out on stage and all that. I heard that people were saying that he's a clone person. It's not really
I didn't hear
Jamie
any of
Foxx.
this.
Oh yeah,
This is news to me.
It's in the social threads and
Yeah,
stuff.
go Google Jamie
But,
Foxx and that
But
whole
people were
situation.
mentioning that movie Clone Tyrone on Netflix, and so
Okay.
I said, well, let me do
documentary or
myself
an actual
a service here and watch that movie and see what's up, you know. And let me tell you, it was a good movie. It was very, very strange plot, but I got to say it was entertaining. It was about this people that clone these pimps and hoes and
Wow.
it's all kind of goofy stuff. But I recommend it. I do. I recommend it.
Clone pimps and hoes, you got my attention.
Yeah, clone pimps and hoes. And I don't believe the thing about the Jamie Foxx thing. I think it's the same Jamie Foxx that's been around. But anyway, I digress. So, anybody else watch anything?
I'm not the go-to on that. I'm terrible with TV because the last series I finished was Dexter New Blood, and that was like I don't know how many months ago.
Not to go off. Isn't Futurama coming back now?
Oh
This
yeah, yeah, definitely.
I wasn't the biggest fan like when it first came out, but I did pick it up late.
I love
It's really good.
Futurama.
But yeah, new Futurama episodes I think are
Futurama.
dropping.
Shit.
So I just got finished watching The Bear on Netflix. I watched season 1. You know when it came out.
Cocaine Bear.
Is Cocaine Bear?
No, it's called The Bear. It's a show on Hulu. It's about a guy who basically takes over his deceased brother's restaurant. It kind of takes you through the what it takes to run a restaurant and the ins and outs and behind the scenes stuff. And it's for guys who wanted who still want to open a brewery one day. It kind of takes you in behind the scenes of that. But it's got a nice little mix of comedy, but mostly got some love interest stuff in there as well. This is an all-around good show. It's a quick watch, too. Episodes are a little bit over, like 30, 35 minutes. Season 1 has 8 episodes. Season 2 has 10. But very interesting watch if y'all are looking for something to watch. It's called The Bear on Hulu.
I actually just finished watching the old Muppet Dinosaur show on Disney Plus. When did I finish that? It was the day Jessica was yelling at me about not finishing the fence. I think it was yesterday. Yes.
Way back to Sunday. Oh, that was yesterday.
That was yesterday. But anyways, I watched the show as a kid, and I was intrigued by it as a kid. It's just very, very Jim Henson Studios, just very, very talented in the costumes they make. And I remember loving that show as a kid because I thought it was funny. I thought the dinosaurs were cool. But I don't think I've ever actually watched it all the way through. And I mean, if you guys have never seen this show before, the ending of it is surprisingly dark for a fucking kid show. I mean, it was basically about the dinosaurs going extinct. I completely wasn't expecting it. It was like a gut punch. I'm sure I'm not really spoiling anything for anybody, but it was basically about Earl Sinclair being responsible for the dinosaurs becoming extinct.
The Rapture.
And the TV host basically, the way it ends, the TV host says, there's nothing in the near future but nothing but darkness and cold. Goodbye. And that's how it ends. And I was just like, as a 39-year-old, I was traumatized. I can't imagine how I would have felt that I actually known what the hell was going on as a kid. But anyways, I wrapped that show up yesterday. Jessica yelled at me for not finishing the fence. Yes, it was traumatizing in both ends.
Speaking of wrapping it up, I think we're going to finish this episode off with one more shot. Travis, what are we shooting this time? What we got
We
here?
got some High West bourbon. So I've recently started trying bourbons over the last couple of years, and I've had some high-end bourbons. I've had some low-end bourbons. The High West is probably about a $30 bottle. It's actually been my go-to. It goes down easy. It's not overwhelming. especially for the guys who don't really like bourbon around the table. Don't think you're going to find this one overbearing. So,
You're welcome for that recommendation, by the
yeah,
way.
I did get the recommendation from Patrick through many texts about bourbon. So
It's not all I'll talk about, but most of it.
Well, here's to bourbon, guy.
here's to
Cheers.
wagon wasted.
No, not wagon.
Wasted wagon.
Wasted wagons.
Cheers. All right, that'll wrap up our episode, guys.
Remember, like, comment, and subscribe.
Doesn't have
You can't subscribe to anything just yet, but when we have something, please comment, like, and subscribe to it.
Mud Dogs
Wasted
just won the
wagon. Don't
bourbon bowl.
forget it. This is our podcast we started amongst friends. Talk about sports, movies, anything in the news, basically anything, all kind of goofy stuff.
Yeah.
So
Man,
we appreciate you following
memorabilia,
us.
sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Sex, drugs, and rock and
How
roll.
much
Baby.
work? So.
Let's do it. All right. See you next time. Hopefully, we'll be coming to you live from the beach.